The city was alive with noise, its streets filled with rushing people, honking cars, and the constant hum of daily life. In one corner, sitting on a cracked pavement, was Sally Mae. His clothes were torn, his hair disheveled, and in his hand was a small tin bowl that rattled with just a few coins. He had spent the entire day begging from strangers, but as the sun dipped lower in the sky, he realized that his earnings were barely enough for a single piece of bread. Salim sighed heavily, his eyes staring blankly at the ground, wondering how long this miserable life would continue. Not far away, on the same busy street, another beggar named Kashif sat slumped against a lamppost. He too had endured a long and unrewarding day. The people who passed him either ignored him completely or threw him a single coin without looking into his eyes. Kashif often wondered if he had become invisible in this fast-moving world, a man without value or purpose. Yet hunger kept him there, forcing him to extend his hand to strangers with nothing but hope in return. As fate would have it, the two men noticed each other for the first time that evening. Kashif overheard Salim muttering to himself. "Oh God," Salim whispered in a tired voice. "Not even enough for one meal today." The words struck Kashif's heart because they were exactly what he had been thinking himself. Slowly, Kashif pushed himself up and walked over to Salim, dragging his worn-out slippers across the pavement. "Brother," Kashif said softly, "it seems fortune treats us the same way. We struggle all day and still end up with nothing." Salim looked up, surprised at the voice. His eyes scanned Kashif's face, and in an instant, he felt a strange connection. It was as though he was looking at his own reflection. Another man crushed by the weight of poverty, yet still breathing, still surviving. He gestured for Kashif to sit beside him, and without hesitation, the two strangers became companions on the same pavement. They began to talk, first about the little things, the weather, the harshness of people, the cruelty of hunger. Then, as their conversation deepened, they spoke of their dreams. Salim admitted he once wanted to become a shopkeeper, to have a small store where he could sell goods with pride. Kashif revealed that he had once dreamed of being a singer, performing for crowds, but his voice now only echoed in empty streets. Both men had been defeated by life in different ways, but the pain that lived inside them was the same. As darkness approached, Kashif's eyes brightened with a sudden idea. "Salim," he said, his voice filled with a spark of energy that had long been missing. "Why do we suffer alone? Why do we beg separately when we could join together? Think about it. One beggar might earn little, but two beggars working together could draw more attention. We could even put on a show. People give more when they see a story, when they feel pity, when they are entertained." Salim tilted his head, considering the idea. He had never thought of begging as anything more than a lonely struggle for survival. But Kashif's words opened a new perspective. "A show, you say, like an act?" he asked, curious. "Exactly," Kashif replied eagerly. "We can create a story for the people. You can pretend to be my brother, or I can act blind and you can guide me. The crowd will feel for us, and they will give more. Instead of waiting for mercy, we can play with their emotions. It is still begging, yes, but smarter begging." Salim remained silent for a while, staring at the fading sunlight. He thought of all the years he had spent sitting alone, stretching out his hand with little to show for it. Perhaps this partnership could change something, even if only a little. Then slowly, a smile spread across his tired face. "You might be right, Kashif. Maybe two beggars together can do what one beggar never could. Very well. From tomorrow onward, we are partners. Let's see where this path takes us." The two men laughed together for the first time in years, their voices mixing with the sounds of the busy street. Though they were still hungry, though their clothes still carried the smell of dirt and despair, they felt a small flame of hope flickering inside them. For the first time, they were not entirely alone. As night settled, they shared a piece of dry bread between them, their partnership sealed by both necessity and a strange sense of brotherhood. The stars above shone faintly through the pollution of the city, and both men lay back against the cold pavement, imagining a future where tomorrow might bring more than just survival. Their story had only just begun, but already it felt different. What started as a chance meeting between two broken souls was slowly turning into something greater. an unusual journey of wit, struggle, and perhaps even transformation. And so, with tired bodies but renewed spirits, Salim and Kashif closed their eyes, ready to face the next day together, unaware of how extraordinary their partnership was about to become. The next morning, the city woke up to its usual rhythm. The streets buzzed with vendors calling out their goods, children rushing to school, and workers hurrying toward buses and factories. In the midst of this chaos, Salim and Kashif prepared to put their plan into action. They had agreed the previous night that Kashif would pretend to be blind while Salim would play the part of his guiding brother. Their hearts pounded with both nervousness and excitement as they rehearsed quietly in a corner before stepping into the crowded street. Kashif tied a ragged cloth around his eyes, making sure it looked convincing. He leaned on a broken stick he had found in the trash, tapping it on the ground as if feeling his way through. Salim stood beside him, one hand on his shoulder, the other stretched out toward the passers-by. For the first time, their begging felt organized, almost like a performance. Salim raised his voice so it could cut through the noise of the marketplace. "Please, brothers and sisters," he pleaded, his tone trembling with emotion. "This is my brother. He cannot see the world as you do. His eyes have betrayed him, and I am the only one who guides him. We are collecting money for his treatment, so that one day he may see again. Whoever helps us today, may God grant them light in both this world and the next." Kashif played his role perfectly. His head hung low, his steps uncertain, his stick dragging on the ground. He occasionally stumbled, and Salim quickly caught him, creating the illusion of a fragile bond between two helpless souls. The crowd began to notice them. Some people turned away in guilt, unable to face the sight. Others slowed their pace, feeling pity rise in their hearts. Soon, coins began to fall into the small metal bowl Salim carried. An old woman paused, dropping a few notes inside. "May your brother see again," she whispered. A shopkeeper stepped out of his store and handed them bread. Even children tugged at their parents' sleeves, asking them to give something to the poor blind man and his brother. For the first time in years, the bowl began to fill at a steady pace. Salim's hands trembled as he clutched the money. His eyes widened with disbelief, and he exchanged a quick glance with Kashif, who remained blind but allowed a small hidden smile to touch his lips. Their trick was working better than they had imagined. Kashif untied the cloth from his eyes, wiping the sweat off his forehead. "Brother, this is unbelievable," he said, his voice filled with awe. He poured the coins and notes onto the ground, spreading them out in front of them both. "I have never seen so much at once. With this, we can eat for days, maybe even buy proper clothes." As they sat on the cold ground, enjoying every bite, a silence settled between them. Salim stared at the money lying in a small pile, his mind wandering beyond the immediate comfort it brought. "Do you ever think," he began slowly, "that maybe we are wasting something? This trick we played today, it worked because we thought carefully, because we used our minds. What if this same effort could be put into something else, something that isn't just begging?" Kashif looked at him, frowning. "What do you mean? We are beggars, Salim. This is what we do. It is the only life we know. But does it have to be?" Salim pressed on. "We proved today that we have the ability to plan, to act, to make people believe. If we can do that on the street, couldn't we do it somewhere else? Maybe in some honest work, maybe even in business. I don't know, but I can't help thinking there is more to life than sitting on a pavement with a bowl." Kashif remained silent, chewing slowly as he considered the words. Deep down, he knew Salim was right. The act they had pulled off was not just luck, it was cleverness, timing, and courage. It showed a side of them both that had long been buried under despair. For years, Kashif had told himself that he was nothing more than a beggar. But tonight, a tiny crack appeared in that belief. The stars above glimmered faintly, and the cool breeze rustled through the broken windows of the abandoned building. The two men sat in that stillness, the money between them like a symbol of both success and temptation. For Salim, it was proof that they could rise beyond begging. For Kashif, it was a question he wasn't ready to answer yet. As they lay down to sleep, their stomachs full and their spirits conflicted, the night carried with it the promise of change. Their journey had begun with desperation, had turned into performance, and now was slowly leading them toward something neither of them could fully see yet. In the darkness, Salim whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe tomorrow will not be the same as yesterday." Kashif heard the words but said nothing. He only closed his eyes and let the thought linger in his heart, wondering if perhaps his blind act today had opened his inner eyes for the first time.